yeah, before we kind of really started, I just think generally people are pretty positive. That's what I found.
Yeah,
we're getting lots of inquiries from people who are, looking to do stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely turned back on, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Only in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I would say. The first 2 or 3 weeks of January, it was dead. But yeah, I think it has turned on a bit, and there are positivities. People are thinking, "Oh, great, the vaccine's coming now." There's, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Although, there is that slight worry about the whatever you want to call them, the variants of the COVID. Whether the vaccine's going to cover that. We really hope it does. Otherwise, that could cause more issues down the line, couldn't it? But yeah, I think you're right. I think there is some positivity, and people keep talking about this boom that they think is going to happen in April, May time, where everyone's going to go back to work, kids are going back to school. Is that what you're feeling as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think particularly the second half of the year, whether it'll come as early as April time. Yeah, it might start then, but I think as people do get back, vaccine is rolled out, I think second half of the year is going to be really, really good. Even for hospitality and retail, once they're open again, those who are still around, everybody's dying to go out for a beer and a meal.
I know. We've been getting takeaways, from nice restaurants and that, and pretend we're in the restaurant. It's quite nice. So yeah, I know. I think you're right. I think it will definitely pick up. There was talk of double dip recession. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're obviously in a recession, but I think we're going to gradually come out of it. I'd like to think. The only concern that I have, my lenders are telling me, is of course the government-backed loans that have gone out there. They reckon that 30% of them won't get repaid, and 68 billion's gone out. I don't know what 30% of that is, but that's a huge amount of money that the government's going to have to put their hand in the pocket and cover off, which effectively we're going to have to pay through our taxes, or maybe our kids and grandkids. But yeah, there is going to be that issue. So I don't think it's going to be an immediate recovery. I think it's going to be a slow burner, but I think it's going to be a decent one. And I think one thing that I'm sort of mindful of the fact is that I think there'll be lots of businesses that will hit the wall. Unfortunately, people will still need to find jobs elsewhere. But we're already seeing lots of people moving around. How are you seeing things, Adam, with regards to employment and apprenticeships and things like that?
No, since the first day back in January, we've been really busy, which, considering we went into a lockdown, obviously, and second day back, we've managed to hit our profile for January. We're looking at, we'll do the same in February. So from our side, it's good, but we're very focused on upskilling existing members of staff. So that's quite a nice indicator that the business we're working with are looking at long-term development, retention, and they're keeping the staff. So that's obviously a positive. The recruiting new apprentices, I think that'll be interesting to see how many new apprenticeship starts, because you've got your incentive for that financially, but then you've also got the Kickstart that's starting to take a bit more. You're hearing a bit more people taking advantage of it and looking at starters. So this Kickstart is like a traineeship. It's 6 months free employment basically, and then if they're suitable for the business, then they can keep them on. Otherwise, they've got experience, some training for future options. A lot of companies that potentially may have looked at recruiting an apprentice might try the Kickstart first and then put them on an apprenticeship afterwards. So
what sort of calibre on the Kickstart then, Adam?
What sort of
calibre, or who's it for?
So the Kickstart, it depends. If you're an organisation that wants to bring on 30 or more people, then you can go as your own application. If you're wanting less than 30, then you join a consortium, and I know the councils and different consultancy firms are like running it for people. But from there, then there's guidance that is in line with the job centre. So it's those that have been made redundant or unemployed, looking to go through either change careers and upskill themselves, or to get back into work. So as far as the calibre concerned, they get sent what's available that meets the criteria. So that will be what's obviously registered with Job Centre.
Okay. So is it any sort of age group or?
Yeah, the focus is 16 to 24, which falls into this kind of traineeship mentality again. So it's for the businesses that actually want to bring young people on, develop them to be the future of the company. It's a great initiative, and it can work well. For those that use it as cheap labour, then it's obviously going to fall down on them parts, in my opinion.
So you said that it was basically free for the first 6 months. Does that mean that they're not getting paid, or are they getting any money at all?
No, the government pay the wage for the first 6 months. It's up to a certain amount of hours per week. We've not got involved in the Kickstart. We obviously have the relationships with the employers to progress them onto an apprenticeship at the end of that 6 month period. Yep. But I believe it's in the region of something like 27 hours a week paid. And then there's a small amount that supports the organisation on any on costs that can come from that as well. But it's all about training them, so they're doing some training included, as well as obviously getting experience in the job role.
Okay, that sounds good.
But I think we've got some people I know that have got a lot more knowledge on it, so I'm quite happy to, maybe for your next one, could bring them in and they could give you a bigger overview.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think that'd be great for the viewers as well to understand that. Fantastic.
Yeah, I've been asked by a few people about it, and I know the basics, but probably would be useful to get an expert in on that.
Yeah, just used properly, I think it will be good, but then there's obviously a few question marks on it, and then it's when will that end and what will be the next part that supports it, because there's always government funded projects, initiatives for unemployment and getting focus groups into work. So what that looks like in the future, then you've got your life skills coming in from April to Upskill the Nation, where I'm just going through the procurement now for the adult skills budget to see how that looks like. But again, it's brand new, so there's going to be teething problems and a few questions that are unanswered. So we'll keep kind of motoring on and update you as we go.
What would the life skills cover then?
So there's a full catalogue on the Gov website, which I can share. I can share a link, and it has majority of it. It'll go on some priority areas. So I know that healthcare and construction are two kind of priority areas. I know that accountancy, so level 3 accountancy is going on there as well. So what would normally happen is somebody may look at coming to us to do a level 3 accountancy qualification through an advanced learning loan. We would then, through our IAG, refer them onto the adult education budget to fund it through that as their legal entitlement, and then they can progress to level 4 with the advanced learning loan. So there's a lot that's going to change where they would have normally been funded to push it to this source first and then progress through other sources. So
interesting.
I'll share the link so Rob
great.
And obviously promote that as well. It's showing what's available. You've just got to find the providers that have got the contract for your area, because there's devolved areas which you need to go to a provider that's in that postcode area, and then there's other providers that can support for the additional postcode areas. So we've had this contract for about 4 years now, that they're re-procuring this month in line with how they're pushing it forward.
Right. And is this affecting the apprentice? Because the scheme that we've actually took advantage of ourselves, there was a deadline, I think, for taking advantage of that. Is that deadline gone now, about to go, or is it going to be extended?
The incentives were, the deadline's the 31st of March, where you get the additional, you can apply for about £2,000 funding on top of the 1,000 for 16 to 18. That will that plans to run out on the 31st of March, but there is discussions on what that will look like afterwards. So there's nothing confirmed, but 2 options discussed when I joined the Humber Left Skills Network meeting, and we had our Northern ESFA rep updating us, is looking at a £5,000 incentive, so actually upping it.
Right.
And there's also talks of looking at how they could incentivise employers more, so they're doing a bit of a survey and a information gathering session, and looking at potentially subsidising the wage for a certain amount of time, and then having a sliding scale. So it could be 100% for the first 3 months, then 75%, then 50, then 25. So the first year, they're not just getting the qualification funding, but they're getting the cost of the apprenticeship, the cost of the apprentice wage funded at a sliding scale. So I think that's a barrier that maybe stops some organisations investing in that side, because it's another overhead as well as the upskilling of them in that maybe first 3-6 months, etc. of employment. So we're just waiting for that to be confirmed, and then we can market what these new initiatives are.
Right. Okay. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot happening then, so that's good.
Yeah.
No, there's a big focus on it, and I think they've got to try and get it right, because it can support if it's done rightly. And obviously it's a great for us, so once we understand it, we can start promoting that for organisations to look at it as an option.
Good.
Right. Yeah, fantastic. Great. So, Neal, how have you been finding things recently? Have you, obviously you're involved with pensions investments. Are you finding customers investing and they're talking to you a lot about that kind of stuff, or they're holding back, or what's the feeling in the market at the moment?
Yeah, it's still sort of the same really in the sort of first lockdown. It's we're working closely with sort of existing clients, but new clients and sort of meeting new people it's been tricky. So yeah, people are still sort of wary with what's happening, but it's been a good time to invest really. The market's been so low. Obviously we've had another wobble sort of recently within the markets, but we just sort of say to the clients, look, just sort of follow the key rules of sort of long-term investment, diversify as much as possible, and sort of use the best fund managers. But yeah, it's not as busy as what it was. We're going to go back to 2019 really. But I found that the sort of lending market, the banks and people wanting mortgages, it's just gone crazy. Obviously with the stamp duty as well, that's had a massive impact. So everyone's trying to get it sort of pushed through before the end of March. But yeah, it's really sort of buoyant on that side of things. But and the lenders as well are starting to sort of ease up on criteria and restrictions. So like I said, 2020 it was really tough, and the rates were rubbish, and it was just hard to get a mortgage through really. But it's starting to ease now, which sort of indicates that things are becoming a little bit better. But yeah, investment side of things, it's not ideal, but
you think there's a lot of pent up investment coming down the line?
I don't know, it's hard to say really. I feel like I'm not sure on that one. Like I say, the right time to go in the market, we say never try and time the market, but if there was ever a point to go in, it would have been sort of at the sort of the crash when the pandemic hit. So yeah, if you had sort of capital to invest then yeah, it's obviously the markets have really sort of bounced back since then. I mean, how the markets are going to react once we're all out of lockdown and the vaccines rolled out and everything, I don't know. I would imagine there's going to be another pickup, another spike. So, but like I say, we don't try and time the market. We just, like I said, just as long as you've got long-term investment objectives, diversify and just follow the sort of rules. Then we don't try and get hung up on what's going to happen this year or 2 years time. So there's always going to be market volatility and market noise. But like I said, as long as you've got your objective right, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's interesting because yesterday I spoke to one of our customers who's a property investor as well, and he's got over 50 properties in and around Hull. And I said to him, "Are you looking to invest any more?" He said, "Well, I had held back from it," and he said, "But now actually I'm going to go again." He said, "I'm going to start investing in some more." So he had plans to do 10 more properties in the next 6 months. And I said, "So why is that?" He said, "Well, of course, the stamp duty is attractive for him. And he believes, he's not sure of it, but he believes that maybe stamp duty will get extended, that deadline maybe to the summertime, so that might help. But he believes as well that he thinks that we're not going to see a dip in the property prices, which we usually do in recession. In fact, it's gone against all the rules of recessions, hasn't it, so far to this point? But maybe because of the stamp duty. But he thinks it's even when that stamp duty goes, he thinks it's still going to continue to either stay the same prices or potentially go up. But he doesn't think they're going to go backwards. So that's interesting. It's only one person's opinion, of course. But of course, if he's got 50 properties and they're doing well, then I guess he's got some experience of that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So, like I said, how the sort of house prices are affected when we come out of this, and whether they're going to still sort of continue to rise. Obviously, different locations. It depends where you are, really. Some sort of whole value, but yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to the house prices, really. But I suppose those sort of guys are in the know more than us. But it'd be interesting.
It certainly will. Another thing that sort of crossed my desk the other week as well is bitcoins, and everyone's been seeing that, but they went up dramatically in value. I think just before Christmas they are worth about £5,000 each. They went up to £30,000. They've dipped down now. I think they're in the low sort of 20,000s. But that's a really interesting market. I know that you would never advise on that, Neal, because it's so volatile. And but it's interesting to see this kind of stuff, because there's loads of reports about them potentially hitting $100,000, which is what, 75,000 UK. But of course, I always look at these stories and think, are they there on purpose to drive people to go and buy and drive the price up? So I'm a little bit cynical about that kind of stuff, but it's interesting what's happened. I think people obviously did go and buy quite a few, and then people who had some already thought, you know what, I'm going to sell them. So you had that spike, and then you obviously had that drop again. But it's interesting to see that. I don't know if you keep an eye on it at all, do you?
Yeah, we do, but it's something we don't really get involved. We have clients to say, oh, look at this, and they're always sending us emails. And again, with what I do and what we do, it's we use the sort of portfolios within St. James's Place, the fund managers there. We spent, I think, over 12 million on due diligence last year before they took on a fund manager. So they go to that sort of extent to run the portfolios. But like I said, your bitcoins and your unregulated stuff, it's something that we don't touch on really. So I can't really comment too much.
No, I guess you can't. But it's even things like gold and silver I've seen as well. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, because people assume when they see unsteadiness in the markets, they seem to buy up the old, the old sort of tried and tested stuff. So it's interesting, isn't it? I really think. I'm surprised at silver though. I'm a little bit surprised at silver, but still.
Yeah, it is normally gold. Yeah, I used to be in the trade, so I always used to watch the gold price. But,
yeah, years ago. Did you have a jewellery shop of some sort? Right?
Yes, yeah, I did. So I used to save up all my scrap gold and then sell it when the price was decent. But the price now is probably 100 times what it was then.
We've got a great illustration that we show clients that it shows you over the years what the different commodities have done, I think like property, for example, or equities, and it just shows you that it's just from year to year, there's just such massive swings. But if you just sort of spread over, obviously you diversify, it's just sort of the way forward, really. So it's people think, oh, I'll just pile in on silver or whatever, or just look down the property route, and it's not really the answer. So. No,
I think you're right, and it's interesting because in my job, usually we have to do an awful lot of mileage, and because we cover people across the whole of the UK, if someone says, I want to meet you and they're down in Exeter, then we'll go to Exeter, simple as that. And it's usually only the first sort of meeting, and then, if they're a continual customer, we might go and review it every year. So we can end up doing a lot of mileage, but I'm wondering whether or how it's going to change, because we've done an awful lot of meetings like we're doing now, and I'm still unconvinced about how these meetings go. I mean, I still think it's often better to meet people face to face. Some people have been great. We've done everything across video and it's been fantastic. Other people, it goes against everything they like to do. So I'm not convinced yet that it's the way to go. But I would prefer to do lots more business across video and then do less mileage. Simple as that. I think a lot of people would, but is that going to happen in the future? I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think it's going to. I think it's just all going to head that way. I really do. A lot of people, why would you have to drive down south for a meeting when it can just become done remotely? Obviously, like I said, there's, especially in my industry, introduction meetings, first meetings, you need to be in front of the person. But I think just for your day-to-day stuff, especially once you've got that relationship or with the client, then it'll be done like this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. They certainly go back to face-to-face because people like to meet people. But I think, subsequent meetings will be, on Teams, on Zoom, or whatever it is. Definitely.
I'm still getting people that I've met many times say, right, come meet me at my office. I'm like, hold on, you do know we're in lockdown. No, yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Come and see me. It's fun. Yeah, I'll leave it. And I had one customer invite me around the house the other day. And he said, come round. I said, well, I can't really because I'm, my father-in-law is 76, he hasn't had the vaccine yet, that kind of stuff. I wanted to protect him. He said, well, fair enough. And he got a little bit stroppy with me. But, I thought, it is difficult because you obviously want to, do business, but some people are a little bit stuck in their ways. But so it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Phil, I wanted to talk about how obviously you're finding things at the moment, like people applying for grants, people requesting information like, help with their accounts, but also maybe putting information together because they've got some future investments such as management information, business plans, that kind of stuff, projections. Are you getting involved with that still regularly? You've seen an uptick?
Yeah, since we came back in the new year. Feet haven't touched the ground in January. I mean, it's self-assessment time, but we had that under control. But apart from that anyway, been really busy on my side of it. I've done a lot of grant applications, particularly from businesses who are looking to do stuff. Done a lot for marketing. Businesses either now they've got the demand there or they're gearing up to really take advantage when the economy opens up. So people are having the websites refreshed, they're looking at digital marketing campaigns, looking at redesigns, competitor analysis, anything. There's a lot of activity out there, and I've also had quite a lot of inquiries from people going self-employed as well. I've had two in particular, but two they haven't been made redundant. They've just thought, right, no, I'm going to go on my own. Two tradespeople, but different trades. But there seems to be a lot of positivity out there. As I've said before, if you're not in the retail hospitality, things seem to be pretty good. That's for what we're finding. And then
especially
on the
trade, isn't it? So especially trade and that
the trades have gone. Yeah, the trades have gone mad because everybody's doing up their houses, or last summer they were doing the gardens up, and it seems to be carrying on. So tradespeople seem really busy. One chap was he puts fences up, so he's going on his own putting fences up. He says he's got loads of work in the pipeline. Fancies working for himself, so he's doing it.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting as well because I was having a chat with a guy who works or has worked for large blue chip organisations, and he said a lot of those companies now are saying, right, our employees are working from home, and we're probably going to continue that way after lockdown, and we're going to reduce our office space and go for smaller offices, and then they're talking about subcontracting stuff out that they would never normally subcontract out. Things like software development. And maybe IT support, that kind of stuff. So they're going to subcontract that out. So we've heard and seen a few people that, like you just said, have decided that they're going to go on their own now because they can see that work coming through already and go, you know what, I'm just going to be a subcontractor for these industries that normally wouldn't have subcontractors in them. So I think there's definitely going to be a shift for what maybe more professional services where people are being more self-employed, working from home.
Yeah, I think so. I think again there is a shift certainly on people's outlook and how they do procure things as well. And on the other, not on the other side of it, but we've got, with a lot of businesses as well who, you mentioned sort of management accounts and financial information. Yeah, there's a lot of businesses who, again, are seeing the opportunities coming towards them, and they might need looking to raise some cash to grow, or they just need some more detailed financial information. They may not have been producing management accounts, but now they feel they're in a position where, we really need to understand what is going on in the business. And so we've been approached by a few clients to do that for them.
Yeah. I think also because of the Brexit situation as well, is that a lot of foreign companies are worried about setting up headquarters and businesses in the UK. We've had one particular German company who'd employed an English guy who's basically working from home as a sales rep for their equipment. Now, that's not unusual, but he said that they decided to do that because of Brexit. They said they were initially going to open an office in the UK, but they thought actually this is going to cause us a huge amount of problems and might affect the margin. So effectively, he's now just become a sales rep working from home, selling their equipment, which actually is a bit of a funny equipment. Basically, it draws out all the moisture from bones of cattle, basically. So it's a bit of a niche product, but yeah, basically he thinks this is going to be a common practice now, where foreign businesses are actually just employing individuals from home who are going to be sales reps rather than actually have any physical representation in the country. So I think there's just definitely going to be more people just working from home, and that's and how. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to say, and then leading on from that as well, sort of, and touching on Brexit, I know the Department for International Trade, the DIT, obviously government organisation, there's going to be a big push on getting SMEs to think about exporting as well. So that's coming down the line, and there'll be funding and support for that as well.
I wonder. That's great news. I wonder how it's going to affect individuals, though. Mental health is a big subject and topic at the moment, isn't it? I mean, do you think it's going to affect people working from home? I know that we're all doing that at the moment. I must admit, I've struggled the last couple of months. It's been, soul destroying to a certain extent how things have been affected. And you think, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, we can see a bit now, but I wonder what it's going to be like for some people who, would struggle in normal times. So it's interesting, isn't it? I think it's going to be a definite shift in how people work, but how's that going to affect the wider, the things in life? I don't know. Maybe someone else could tell us someday.
Yeah, that is a difficult question, and I think until everything sort of comes out the woodwork, and we don't know the extent of it. Obviously, the mental health charities are gearing up for. There will be a lot of issues coming down the line, so we'll just have to wait and see if personally we're affected, anybody in our business, or the wider business community.